In a research laboratory in England, the screens are filled with television footage showing violence, riots, wars, and brutal human acts. The camera then focuses on a chimpanzee strapped to an operating table, its eyes red and full of rage. Several animal rights activists burst in, intending to free the primates they believe are being tortured. A panicked scientist tries to stop them, warning that the monkeys are infected with the rage virus, a disease that spreads through blood and saliva, turning its victims into vicious creatures driven only by anger. The activists don't listen, and they open the cages. The moment the door opens, a chimpanzee immediately leaps out and bites one of them. Within seconds, the victim transforms into a raging creature and attacks the others. Blood splatters, screams fill the room. The outbreak starts there. The camera shifts to a silent scene. We see a man, Jim, lying in a hospital bed. He slowly wakes up, confused. The room is empty, the machines are dead, and there are no nurses. Jim walks out, wearing only a hospital gown, his bare feet touching the cold floor. He steps out into the streets of London, but the sight shocks him. The vast city is completely deserted. No cars passing, no human voices, only scattered debris. Jim finds walls covered with missing persons posters, dead payphones, and corpses lying in a church. When he calls out, a sick-looking priest suddenly runs toward him aggressively. Jim quickly realizes this is not a normal human. The creature chases him, and from another direction, more infected people appear. Jim panics and runs, chased until he's cornered at the end of a street. Just as he's about to be caught, two people appear with Molotov cocktails and hurl fire at the infected. Jim is rescued by Mark and Selena. Selena and Mark explain to Jim that the virus spreads extremely fast. It only takes seconds after being exposed to blood or a bite. There's no cure, and the only way to stop the infected is to kill them. They also tell him that civilization collapsed in just weeks. The government is gone, cities abandoned, and only a few survivors remain. Jim asks to go to his parents' home in the suburbs. They agree. When they arrive, Jim finds his parents already dead in their bed, leaving behind a loving farewell letter. They chose to end their lives rather than fall victim to the virus. That night, in the same house, a group of infected attack. Mark is injured by a splash of blood. Without hesitation, Selena hacks him down with a machete before he can turn. Still in shock, Jim begins to understand the harsh rules of this world. One mistake, one moment of weakness, and you lose your life. The next day, Jim and Selena see a flash of light from a high-rise apartment. They go up and meet Frank and his daughter Hannah, two survivors thanks to a water filtration system on the building's roof. Frank plays them a military radio broadcast promising salvation at a location north of Manchester. Since Frank's water supply is running out, they decide to travel together using Frank's modified taxi. The journey to Manchester is filled with challenges. They pass through a dark tunnel crammed with stalled cars, have to change a tire in the middle of the road, and even stop at an abandoned supermarket to gather food. In these moments, the group starts to feel like a small family. Jim, once a stranger, begins to bond with Hannah and Frank. But the outside world offers no mercy. At one stop at a gas station, Jim is almost attacked by an infected hiding inside. He's forced to kill it, and the experience leaves a deep emotional scar. Finally, they reach the location from the radio broadcast, only to find an empty barricade. Frank, frustrated, bangs on the car and yells into the air. In the middle of his outburst, a drop of blood from a dead bird above falls into his eye. He's infected within seconds. Frank screams, his eyes turn red, and he starts to attack. Before he can hurt anyone, British soldiers appear and shoot him dead. Hannah is devastated to see her father killed so suddenly. The soldiers, led by Major Henry West, take Jim, Selena, and Hannah to a large house serving as their base. At first, they feel safe. The soldiers provide food, beds, and hot showers. But slowly, Jim realizes something is wrong. West reveals his plan. He promised safety in the radio broadcast only to lure women to the base, so his isolated soldiers would have hope of continuing the population. In other words, Selena and Hannah will be forced into sexual slavery. Jim protests furiously, but he's quickly handcuffed and taken out to be executed alongside a soldier named Sergeant Doyle, who also disagrees with the plan. In the woods, the soldiers assigned to shoot them are ambushed. Doyle shoots one of them, and Jim escapes while Doyle returns to help Selena and Hannah. In his escape, Jim changes from a confused man into a ruthless survivor. Jim sneaks back into the house, killing the soldiers one by one with swift and brutal methods, using guerrilla tactics and exploiting the darkness and chaos. In the mayhem, he releases some infected who were locked in the yard, turning the house into a blood-soaked nightmare. Jim finds Selena and Hannah before they can be harmed. When he appears, his body is covered in blood, and his eyes are wild, making Selena hesitate, unsure if he's still human. Only when Jim kisses her does Selena realize he's still sane. They escape in a car, leaving the burning house behind. The scene shifts to a peaceful countryside. Selena is sewing a huge cloth with the word "hello" to attract passing aircraft. Jim lies in bed, recovering from his injuries, while Hannah helps hold the fabric. A British fighter jet flies overhead, and the pilot spots the message. A smile spreads across Selena's face. Maybe, just maybe, there is hope for survival. The legendary return. Cillian Murphy as Jim. After more than 2 decades, Cillian Murphy finally returns as Jim, the iconic protagonist from 28 Days Later, 2002. Fans have long awaited this moment, and his appearance here delivers both nostalgia and emotional answers about what happened to Jim after surviving the first outbreak. His presence makes the film feel more authentic, relevant, and deeply connected to the original story. A more mature and emotional horror. This is not just about zombies. It's about survival, loss, and how humanity adapts to a broken world. Jim, Cillian Murphy, is now portrayed as a more mature character, scarred by past trauma, but still a symbol of hope. Groundbreaking visuals. Danny Boyle pushes boundaries by shooting several sequences with the iPhone 15 Pro Max using a custom rig, up to 20 iPhones at once. The result is a unique camera effect never before seen in zombie films. Combined with the ultra-wide 2.76:1 aspect ratio, the movie delivers a cinematic experience that feels both epic and intimate. Haunting soundtrack. The score, composed by Scottish hip-hop group Young Fathers, blends electronic, tribal, and industrial sounds, intensifying the film's suspenseful atmosphere. Box office success and global hype. With a production budget of around $75 million, the film has already grossed over $150 million worldwide within weeks.